For 14 years, I believed I was building a secure life, a home for my family. That my wife, Vanessa, was my partner, and our future was safe. Then, one scorching afternoon, 40 feet above an oil rig, my phone buzzed. A text from her. Just a few words. In less than an hour, my world shattered, bank accounts emptied, savings gone, and our house, our home, disconnected. My kids, Noah and Daisy, were unreachable. Everything I thought I knew about my life unraveled in a single, brutal afternoon. And somewhere, Vanessa, my wife, was probably sipping a margarita, utterly oblivious to the storm she'd just unleashed. Before I tell you what happened when they saw me, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Also, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop a comment below. They broke everything I loved. Now I'll break them. Some men find God on the rigs. I found a divorce text. I was 40 feet up on platform 7, wrench in hand, covered in crude oil and my own sweat when my phone buzzed. The Houston sun was cooking us like eggs on a skillet. And I'd been working a double shift because Big Mike needed bodies and I needed the overtime. My kids, Noah and little Daisy, had been asking about summer camp and camp costs money. Everything costs money when you're a roughneck. The text was from Vanessa, my wife of 14 years. I'm leaving you. Moving to Palm Springs with Tyler. Took what I needed from the accounts. You'll hear from my lawyer. Don't contact me. I read it 3 times. The words didn't change. Tyler Tybecker, the 25-year-old personal trainer she'd hired 6 months ago. The guy who posted shirtless selfies and called himself an entrepreneur. I'd met him twice. He had perfect teeth and talked about disrupting the wellness space. I'd wanted to disrupt his face. I climbed down from the platform slowly, my hands shaking. Not from fear, from something else. Something cold settling into my chest like ice. Tom, you good? Big Mike called from the ground. He was a mountain of a man, 300 pounds of muscle and barbecue with a voice like gravel in a blender. Yeah, I said, just need a minute. I walked to the edge of the site and called my bank. The automated system cheerfully informed me that my checking account had a balance of 47. My savings account, the one with 12,000 we'd been building for years, had been closed 3 days ago. I called Vanessa straight to voicemail. I called the house, disconnected. I called my kids. Noah's phone rang and rang. Daisy didn't even have a phone yet. She was only 8. That's when Rick pulled up in his beat-up Ford. Dust trailing behind him like a comet. Rick Slick Alvarez had worked the rigs with me for 10 years before he got smart and became a private investigator. He was my best friend, my brother in everything but blood. He got out of the truck, took one look at my face and said, "Who died?" "My marriage," I said, and showed him the text. Rick read it, his expression darkening. That son of a she took the money. All of it. Jesus, Tom, I can't reach the kids. Rick pulled out his own phone, fingers flying. Give me 10 minutes. I know people. While he made calls, I sat on the bumper of his truck and stared at nothing. The oil rig pumped behind me. That rhythmic thump 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 that had been the soundtrack of my adult life. 15 years I'd worked these fields. 15 years of broken backs and busted knuckles. Of missing birthdays and school plays. Of coming home so tired I could barely kiss my kids goodnight. For what? Okay, Rick said, walking back. So, here's what I got. Your wife filed paperwork in California 2 weeks ago. Restraining order request denied, by the way, because you haven't done anything, but she tried. She's claiming you were emotionally absent and that she feared for her safety. That's insane. It gets better. The house, she sold it, closed escrow yesterday. Your name was forged on the documents. My guy at the title company confirmed it. That's fraud, Tom. Real fraud. Where are my kids? Rick's face went dark. Palm Springs. Vanessa's got them enrolled in some private school out there. Told the administrators you'd abandoned the family. The ice in my chest cracked and something hot poured through. She what, Tom? She told people I abandoned my kids. Listen to me. Rick grabbed my shoulders. We're going to fix this, but you got to stay smart. You go off half-cocked, you'll lose them for real. Understand? I nodded, but I didn't feel smart. I felt like a man who'd been sleepwalking through his life and just woke up to find his house on fire. I need to see them, I said. Then we go to Palm Springs, Rick said. But we do this, right? Legal, smart. I looked back at the oil rig at Big Mike watching us with concern. Then I pulled out my phone and texted Vanessa back. Sure, good luck. 2 words. That was all I'd give her for now. Palm Springs in July is the underworld with better landscaping. Rick and I drove straight through. 20 hours of highway and truck stop coffee. Arriving just after dawn, the city sprawled across the desert like a mirage. Palm trees and swimming pools and houses that cost more than I'd make in 10 lifetimes. Vanessa's new place was in a gated community called Desert Vista Estates. The name alone made me want to punch something. Rick had gotten the address from his cousin Maria, who worked in property records and owed him a favor. We parked down the street and watched. The house was massive. White stucco, red tile roof, 3-car garage. A BMW sat in the driveway. Not Vanessa's old Honda. A brand new BMW. Your money bought that, Rick said quietly. Some of it, I said, but not all. She didn't have enough. So, where'd the rest come from? Good question. We waited 3 hours before Vanessa emerged. She looked different. Blonde highlights, designer sunglasses, clothes that screamed expensive. She got in the BMW and drove off. Now, Rick said, we approached the house on foot. The gate had a code, but Rick had tools for that. 30 seconds later, we were in the backyard. The pool was Olympic-sized, surrounded by lounge chairs, and a full outdoor kitchen. Through the sliding glass doors, I could see inside. Marble floors, modern furniture, abstract art on the walls. This wasn't just a house. This was a statement. And then I saw them. Noah and Daisy sitting at the kitchen table eating cereal. My kids, my babies. Noah looked older somehow, his face thinner. Daisy was still small, still had that gap in her front teeth. They were right there 20 feet away, and I couldn't touch them. Tom, Rick warned. A man walked into the kitchen. Tyler, shirtless, of course, wearing gym shorts and holding a protein shake. He said something to the kids. I couldn't hear through the glass, and Noah's shoulders hunched. Daisy didn't look at him. Tyler walked closer, leaned over. Daisy said something else. She shrank back. That's when I moved toward the door. Rick grabbed me. Not like this. I know, but not like this. We need evidence. We need a plan. I wanted to argue. Wanted to smash through that glass and take my kids home. But Rick was right. I'd lose them forever if I did it wrong. So, we left. Retreated to the cheap motel where Rick had booked us a room, the Desert Palms Inn, which had 1 palm tree and 0 palms. The room smelled like cigarettes in desperation, and the air conditioner sounded like it was dying. Okay, Rick said, pulling out his laptop. Let's figure out who Tyler Becker really is. It took him 40 minutes. Holy heck, Rick said, turning the screen toward me. Tyler Becker had quite the resume. 2 arrests for possession with intent to distribute, 1 conviction pled down to probation, multiple civil suits from former clients claiming he'd sold them fake supplements laced with illegal steroids, and a current investigation by the DEA for suspected involvement in a prescription pills ring. He's a pills dealer, I said. Not just a dealer, a stupid dealer. The kind who gets caught. And Vanessa brought my kids into this. Rick nodded grimly. Gets worse. Look at this. He pulled up social media. Vanessa's Instagram was full of photos. Her and Tyler at clubs, at parties, posing with people I didn't recognize. In one photo, there were pills visible on a table behind them. In another, a man in the background was clearly doing white powder. She's documenting her own crimes. Rick said, this is gold for a custody case. How fast can we move? Texas court, we file tomorrow. We might get a hearing in 2 weeks. California court, months, 2 weeks is too long. Then we do both. File in Texas. You're still a resident and that's where the kids lived. Argue she kidnapped them and we gather evidence. Lots of evidence. Over the next 3 days, we became shadows. We followed Vanessa everywhere, to yoga classes, to lunch with friends, to late-night parties at the house. Rick set up cameras outside the property. I took photos. We documented everything. On the 4th night, there was a party. Cars lined the street, expensive ones. Music pounded from inside the house. People drifted in and out, drinks in hand, some clearly high. And my kids were in there somewhere. I'm going in, I said. Tom, my kids are in that house with a bunch of pill-sated strangers. I'm going in, Rick sighed. Then I'm coming with you. We waited until midnight when the party was in full chaos. The backyard gate was unlocked. Sloppy security. We slipped through, staying in the shadows. Through the windows, I could see the party in full swing. Tyler was holding court by the pool, shirtless again, surrounded by people laughing too loud. Vanessa was inside dancing with a drink in her hand. I moved along the side of the house looking for the kids' rooms. Found them on the 2nd floor. 2 windows with cartoon curtains. Daisy's room had a nightlight shaped like a unicorn. I'd bought her that unicorn. I climbed. There was a trellis covered in bougainvillea, and I used it like a ladder, praying it would hold. It creaked but held. Daisy's window was cracked open. I pushed it wider and climbed inside. My daughter was asleep, curled around her stuffed elephant, the one I'd won for her at the state fair 3 years ago. She looked so small in the big bed, so vulnerable. I knelt beside her and whispered, Daisy. She stirred, opened her eyes, and for a moment, she just stared. Then recognition hit and she gasped. Daddy. Shoo, baby. It's okay. You're here. She threw her arms around me and I held her, breathing in her little kid smell, shampoo, and something sweet. I'm here, I said. But I need you to be quiet, okay? I'm not supposed to be here yet. Are you taking us home? Soon, I promise. But first, I need your help. I pulled out a small device, a listening bug Rick had given me. It looked like a button. See this? I'm going to put it in Mr. Elephant's ear. Okay. And you keep him with you all the time. Can you do that? Why? Because it's going to help Daddy make sure you're safe. It's our secret. She nodded solemnly. I don't like it here. I know, baby. Tyler's mean. He yells at Mommy, and he told Noah to shut up yesterday. My jaw clenched. Did he hurt you? No, but he's scary. Not for much longer, I said. I kissed her forehead. I love you so much. I love you, too, Daddy. I climbed back out the window and down the trellis. Rick was waiting below, eyes wide. You're insane, he whispered. Probably. We made it back to the gate, and that's when the dog appeared. It was a Rottweiler, and it was not happy to see us. It barked once, loud enough to wake the dead, and charged. "Run!" Rick shouted. We ran. I vaulted the fence. Rick right behind me. The dog hit the gate a second later, snarling and snapping. Lights came on in the house. We sprinted to Rick's truck and peeled out, tires screaming. "That was too close," Rick panted. "But we got it," I said, holding up my phone. The listening device was already transmitting. Now we wait. The bug in Daisy's elephant was a gold mine. Over the next week, Rick and I listened to everything. Vanessa and Tyler fighting about money. Tyler on the phone with someone named Carlos discussing a shipment. Vanessa crying in the bathroom saying she'd made a mistake but was in too deep now. And then on day 8, we heard the plan. "We're moving to Vancouver," Tyler said. "Carlos has a place set up where we take the kids, drive across the border, and we're golden. Clean slate." "What about Tom?" Vanessa asked. "What about him?" "He's broke. He can't follow us to Canada. He's their father and you're their mother. You've got custody. He's got nothing." Silence. Then Vanessa. "When?" 3 days. "Carlos needs us to bring the shipment with us. We hide it in the kids' stuff. Border Patrol never checks kids." My blood turned to ice. "They're using our kids as pills couriers," I said to Rick. Rick was already on his phone. "I'm calling the FBI. Will they even care if it's cartel related?" "Yeah, they'll care." Agent Andrew McCall arrived at our motel room 6 hours later. He was mid-40s, gray at the temples with the kind of face that had seen too much. He listened to our recordings, took notes, and finally nodded. "We've been watching Tyler Becker for months," he said. "This Carlos character is Carlos Mendoza, mid-level cartel operator. If Becker's moving product for him, we want him." "What about my kids?" I asked. "We'll make sure they're safe, but we need to catch them in the act at the border." "No," I said, "my kids aren't bait. Mr. Galloway, I understand your concern, but if we arrest Becker now, Mendoza walks. We need the shipment. We need them crossing the border with it. Then I'm coming with you." McCall studied me. "You're a civilian. Those are my kids. I'm coming." He sighed. "Okay, but you follow my lead." "Understood." I nodded. 3 days later, we were in position at the Canadian border crossing near Blaine, Washington. Rick and I were in an unmarked van with 2 other agents watching the line of cars through binoculars. "There," Rick said, pointing. Vanessa's BMW 4th car back. I could see Noah in the back seat, Daisy beside him. Tyler was driving, Vanessa in the passenger seat. "All units, target vehicle is in position," McCall said into his radio. "Wait for my signal." The line moved slowly. My heart hammered against my ribs. The BMW reached the checkpoint. The border agent, one of ours, leaned down, asked questions. Tyler smiled, handed over passports. The agent nodded, waved them through. "What?" I started. "Wait," McCall said. The BMW pulled forward into Canada. 20 yards, 50 yards. Then the lights came on. Canadian police, FBI, Border Patrol, all converging. The BMW stopped. Tyler tried to reverse, but there were cars behind him now blocking him in. "Go," McCall said. We moved. I was out of the van before it fully stopped, running toward the BMW. Agents were already pulling Tyler out, slamming him against the hood. Vanessa was screaming and in the back seat, my kids were crying. I yanked open the door. "Noah, Daisy, Daddy." Daisy launched herself at me and I caught her, held her tight. Noah climbed out more slowly, his face pale. Dad, what's happening? It's okay, I said. Everything's okay now. It wasn't, of course. Agents were tearing apart the car, pulling out suitcases. They found the pills hidden in a false bottom of Daisy's princess backpack. 2 kilos of fentanyl. You son of a witch, I said to Tyler, who was being handcuffed. You put pills in my daughter's backpack. Tyler's perfect teeth were bared in a snarl. This is your fault. You ruined everything. No, I said calmly. You did that yourself. Vanessa was sitting on the ground, hands over her face, sobbing. An agent stood over her talking into a radio. McCall approached me. We're arresting Becker. Multiple charges, pills, trafficking, child endangerment, conspiracy. He's looking at 20 years minimum. What about her? I pointed at Vanessa. That's complicated. She didn't know about the pills. Her reaction was genuine. We've got nothing on her except bad judgment. She kidnapped my kids. That's a civil matter. You'll have to fight that in court. I wanted to argue, but I had my kids in my arms and that was enough for now. The custody battle started 2 weeks later in Houston. Vanessa had hired a lawyer somehow and was fighting for joint custody. She claimed she'd been manipulated by Tyler, that she'd had no idea about the pills, that she was a victim, too. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Simmons, destroyed that narrative in the first hearing. Your Honor, Patricia said, standing before the judge. Mrs. Galloway sold the family home through fraudulent means, empty joint bank accounts, moved the children across state lines without the father's consent, and was present during a pills trafficking operation. The fact that she claims ignorance doesn't change the fact that she endangered these children. Vanessa's lawyer, a slick guy named Raymond Marsh, stood up. Your Honor, my client was in a toxic relationship with Tyler Becker, not with Mr. Galloway, Patricia interrupted. There is zero evidence of mistreatment from my client. Zero. What there is evidence of is Mrs. Galloway's pattern of reckless behavior, poor judgment, and prioritizing her own desires over her children's welfare. The judge, a stern woman named Judith Carver, looked at Vanessa over her glasses. Mrs. Galloway, did you or did you not forge your husband's signature on real estate documents? Vanessa hesitated. I thought he would agree. That's a yes or no question. Yes, but and did you or did you not take the children to California without informing their father? Yes, but I had reasons. Mrs. Galloway, I don't care about your reasons. I care about the law. Judge Carver shuffled papers. Temporary custody is granted to Mr. Galloway. Mrs. Galloway, you will have supervised visitation once per month until we reconvene for a full hearing. Bailiff, next case. Vanessa's face went white. Your Honor, please. My decision is final. Outside the courthouse, Vanessa tried to approach me. Tom, please. We need to talk. No, I said, walking past her with the kids. They're my children, too. I stopped, turned. You sold them out for a BMW and a pool. You put pills in Daisy's backpack. You don't get to play the victim here. I didn't know about the pills. But you knew about Tyler. You knew what he was, and you chose him anyway. She had no answer for that. The real battle, though, wasn't in court. It was in the court of public opinion. Vanessa's friends, the Instagram moms, the yoga class crowd, had been her support system. They'd rallied around her when she left me, posting supportive messages about finding yourself and new beginnings. Then Rick leaked the story to the press. Local mother involved in border pills bust ran in the Houston Chronicle. The article included photos of the arrest, quotes from FBI agents, and a detailed timeline of events. Vanessa's social media exploded, not with support, with condemnation. Her friend Leia, the gossipy one who'd helped Rick get information, posted a long message. I can't believe I defended you. You put those babies in danger. I'm ashamed I called you my friend. Others piled on. Comments flooded Vanessa's Instagram, most of them brutal. She deleted her account within 24 hours, but the damage was done. I ran into Ela at the grocery store a week later. She approached me cautiously. Tom, I just want to say I'm sorry. We all believed her lies about you. It's fine. I said, it's not fine. We should have known better. She was always so focused on appearances, on status. I think she saw Tyler as her ticket to a different life. Yeah, well, she got a different life. Just not the one she wanted. Leia nodded. The kid's okay. They're resilient. We're working through it. If you need anything, babysitting, meals, whatever, let me know. A bunch of us want to help. Thanks, Leia. She walked away and I realized something. Vanessa had lost everything. Not just me and the kids, not just the money, but her entire social circle, her reputation, her identity. And I barely lifted a finger. She destroyed herself. I thought it was over. I was wrong. Tyler made bail, some technicality with the Canadian arrest, and disappeared. The FBI assured me he was being monitored, that he couldn't leave the country, that I had nothing to worry about. They were wrong, too. It started with phone calls, unknown numbers always at night. I'd answer and there'd be silence, then a hang-up, then the calls started coming to my work number, to Big Mike's office. Someone's asking about you. Big Mike said one afternoon. Guy came by yesterday. Wanted to know your schedule. What did he look like? Young, fit, pretty boy. Said he was your brother-in-law. Tyler, I called Agent McCall. He's violating his bail conditions. We'll look into it. Look into it? He's stalking me. Mr. Galloway, I understand your concern, but unless he threatens you directly. I hung up. Rick was more helpful. He's desperate. The cartel wants their money back and he's blaming you for the bust. We need to be careful. I'm not hiding from this punk. I'm not saying hide. I'm saying be smart. But Tyler wasn't smart. He was desperate, which is worse. 2 nights later, he showed up at my apartment. I was putting the kids to bed when the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole and saw him standing there, hands in his pockets, looking around nervously. I opened the door with the chain still on. You need to leave. We need to talk, Tyler said. His perfect teeth were clenched, his jaw tight. No, we don't. You're violating your bail. I'm calling the cops. Wait, he held up his hands. Please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. Talk. The cartel thinks I stole their money. They think I set up the bus to keep the pills. Not my problem. They're going to end me, Tom. Still not my problem. I need money. 50,000 to pay them back. You have it. I laughed. Are you insane? You and Vanessa stole everything from me. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. You're lying. I know you have money hidden somewhere. Even if I did, which I don't, I wouldn't give you a dime. Tyler's expression hardened. Then I'll take it. He pulled out a knife. I didn't think. I just reacted. 15 years on the rigs had made me strong, made me fast. I grabbed his wrist, twisted, and slammed him against the wall. The knife clattered to the ground. You just threatened me in front of my home, I said quietly. Where my kids are sleeping. Big mistake. I shoved him away, pulled out my phone, and took a photo. Smile for the cops. Tyler ran. I called 911, then called Rick. We've got a problem. He's going to come at you again, Rick said. We were in his office reviewing security footage from my apartment building. Tyler had been caught on camera, knife clearly visible. "Let him," I said. "Tom, no, I'm serious. Let him come. But this time, we're ready." Rick studied me. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking we end this permanently." "Legally permanently, right?" "Of course. I wasn't planning to end Tyler. I'm not someone who would end, but I was planning to destroy him so completely he'd never bother me again. The plan was simple. Lure him somewhere isolated, get him to incriminate himself on camera, and hand everything to the FBI and the cartel. You want to feed him to the wolves?" Rick said he fed my kids to the wolves. Turnabout's fair play. We chose the location carefully. An abandoned oil rig about 60 miles outside Houston. It had been shut down for years, left to rust in the Texas heat. Big Mike knew about it. He'd worked there decades ago and got us access. Then we set the bait. I had Rick spread a rumor through Vanessa's old social circle. I'd gotten a big settlement from the house sale, was keeping it hidden in cash, and was storing it at my old work site for safety. It was absurd, but desperate people believe absurd things. 3 days later, Tyler took the bait. Rick's surveillance caught him asking around, trying to find out which rig I worked. When he couldn't get information, he followed me. I led him straight to the abandoned rig. It was a moonless night, hot and sticky. The rig loomed against the stars like a skeleton, all rust and shadows. I parked my truck and got out, carrying a duffel bag, empty, but Tyler didn't know that. I climbed the stairs to the main platform, my boots clanging on metal. Behind me, I heard another vehicle approach. Tyler's rental car. He got out slowly looking around. Then he saw me above and started climbing. I waited on the platform, the duffel bag at my feet. Rick was hidden in the control room with cameras rolling. Agent McCall was in an unmarked car 2 m away, ready to move on my signal. Tyler reached the platform, breathing hard. He brought the knife again. "You're predictable," I said. "Shut up. Give me the money." "There is no money, Tyler. There never was." His face twisted with rage. "You're lying." "Nope. This was a trap and you walked right into it." I pointed at the cameras. "Smile. Your uncandid camera again." Tyler looked around wildly, spotted the cameras, and his face went pale, then red. Then he charged. I sidestepped and he stumbled past me. The platform was slick with old oil and his fancy sneakers had no traction. He slipped, caught himself on the railing. "You ruined my life," he screamed. "No," I said calmly. "You ruined your own life. You're a pills dealer who got greedy. You're a coward who hid behind a woman and her kids. You're nothing, Tyler. You always were." He came at me again, knife swinging. I grabbed a length of chain hanging from the derrick and swung it. It caught him in the shoulder and he dropped the knife, howling. "You're done," I said. "The FBI has everything. The cartel has everything. You've got nowhere left to run." Tyler collapsed to his knees, clutching his shoulder. "Please," he whimpered. "They'll end me probably," I said. "But that's not my problem. That's yours." I pulled out my phone and called McCall. "He's here. Come get him." 20 minutes later, the FBI arrived. They arrested Tyler for assault, stalking, and violating his bail conditions. McCall also accidentally let slip to certain parties where Tyler would be held pending trial. "The cartel will know by morning," McCall said quietly. "Protective custody might not be enough." "Like I said," I replied, "not my problem." With Tyler in custody, I thought Vanessa would finally disappear. Instead, she doubled down. She filed an emergency motion for custody, claiming I'd entrapped Tyler, that I was dangerous, that the kids weren't safe with me. The hearing was a circus. Vanessa showed up with a new lawyer, a high-priced one, which meant someone was funding her. She'd also brought witnesses, women from her old yoga class, a former coworker, even her own mother. One by one, they testified that I was controlling, absent, emotionally distant. Patricia tore them apart. Mrs. Chen, she said to one witness, when was the last time you saw Mr. Galloway interact with his children? I don't know. Years ago. Years ago. So, you have no recent knowledge of his parenting? Well, no, but Vanessa said, so, you're testifying based on hearsay from a woman who committed fraud, kidnapped her children, and endangered them in a pills trafficking operation? The witness had no answer. Patricia did this to every witness. By the end, Vanessa's case was in tatters. Then it was my turn to testify. Mr. Galloway, Patricia said, tell the court about your relationship with your children. I took a breath. I love my kids more than anything in this world. I've worked 60-hour weeks for 15 years to provide for them. I've missed things, birthdays, school plays, and I regret that. But I've never missed being their father. Not once. And when you discovered your wife had taken them to California, I did everything legally possible to get them back. I worked with law enforcement. I followed the rules. And when I found out they were in danger, I made sure they were safe. Mr. Galloway, do you believe your ex-wife is a good mother? I paused. This was the moment I could be generous. Take the high road. But I thought about Daisy's backpack filled with pills. About Noah's hunched shoulders, about the fear in their eyes. No, I said, I don't. A good mother doesn't choose a pills dealer over her kids. A good mother doesn't put them in danger to fund a lifestyle. A good mother doesn't lie to them about their father. Vanessa might have been a good mother once, but she's not anymore. The courtroom was silent. Judge Carver looked at Vanessa. Mrs. Galloway, do you have anything to say? Vanessa stood, tears streaming down her face. I made mistakes. I know that. But I love my children. I deserve a second chance. Mrs. Galloway, Judge Carver said, second chances are earned. You haven't earned one. Full custody is granted to Mr. Galloway. You may have supervised visitation once per month pending a review in 1 year. This court is adjourned. Vanessa collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Somehow, the story had leaked again, and now it was national news. Oil worker wins custody after border pills bust was trending on social media. Vanessa tried to leave through a side door, but the reporters found her. They shouted questions, cameras flashing. Mrs. Galloway, did you know about the pills? Mrs. Galloway, do you regret leaving your husband? Mrs. Galloway, what do you have to say to your children? She tried to push through, but one reporter blocked her path. Mrs. Galloway, your ex-husband says you chose a pills dealer over your kids. Is that true? Vanessa snapped. He's a liar. He's manipulative. He turned everyone against me. So, you're saying he's lying about the pills in your daughter's backpack? I didn't know about the pills. But you knew Tyler Becker was a pills dealer. Court records show you were present during multiple transactions. That's not. I never. Vanessa looked around wildly, realizing she was trapped. This is all his fault. Tom did this. He ruined everything. The cameras captured every word. By that evening, the video had gone viral. Entitled "Mother Blames Ex-Husband for Her Own Crimes" was the headline. The comments were brutal. Vanessa's phone number, email, and social media accounts were all doxed within hours. She had to change everything, delete everything, disappear from the internet entirely. But the damage was done. Her name was poison. No one would hire her. No one would rent to her. Her own mother stopped returning her calls. She'd lost everything. 6 months later, life had found a rhythm. Noah was in therapy, working through the trauma. He was doing better, smiling more, talking more. Daisy had nightmares sometimes, but they were getting less frequent. I'd taken a promotion at work. Less rig time, more management, better hours, better pay. Big Mike had pulled strings. Said I'd earned it. Rick stopped by most weekends. We'd grill, watch football, let the kids run wild in the yard. Normal life, the life I'd always wanted. And then Vanessa showed up. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was in the garage teaching Noah how to change oil in my truck when I heard the doorbell. I opened the door and there she was. She looked terrible, thin, pale, with dark circles under her eyes. Her clothes were cheap, her hair unwashed. She looked like she'd aged 10 years and 6 months. "Tom," she said, "please, I need to talk to you." "No, please, just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I stepped outside. "What do you want?" "I'm broke," she said. "I lost my job. I can't find another one. No one will hire me. I'm living in my car." "That's unfortunate." "Tom, please. I need help." "You need help. You stole everything from me. You put our kids in danger. You tried to destroy me in court. And now you want help. I made mistakes. You made choices, Vanessa. Choices have consequences. I'm their mother. You were their mother. Now you're just a woman who sees them once a month for an hour." Her face crumpled. "I've lost everything." "Yes," I said. "You have. How can you be so cruel?" I laughed. A harsh, bitter sound. "Cruel? You want to talk about cruel? You sent me a text." "A text? Vanessa? After 14 years of marriage, after 2 kids. After everything we built together. You ended it with a text and stole my money. You told people I abandoned my family. You let a pills dealer put his hands on my kids. And you have the nerve to call me cruel." She had no answer. "You wanted a new life," I continued. "You wanted Palm Springs and pools and BMWs. You wanted to be someone different. Well, congratulations. You got it. You're someone different now. Someone no one wants to know." "Tom, I'm done, Vanessa. I've got my kids. I've got my life back. You're not part of that anymore. You never will be again." I turned to go back inside. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I stopped, looked back. "I don't care." I closed the door. Through the window, I watched her walk back to her car, a beat-up Honda with a cracked windshield. She sat in the driver's seat for a long time, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. Then she drove away. Noah appeared beside me. "Was that Mom?" "Yeah. Is she okay?" I thought about lying, but Noah deserved the truth. "No," I said. "She's not, but that's not our responsibility anymore." Noah nodded slowly. "Good." We went back to the garage, back to the truck, back to our lives. Epilogue, the final word. 3 months after that, I got a call from Agent McCall. "Thought you'd want to know," he said. "Tyler Becker plead guilty. 25 years, no parole." "Good. The cartel got to him in lockup. Nothing fatal, but he'll be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his sentence." "Even better. There's more. We traced the money from your joint accounts. Vanessa didn't spend it all. There's about 8,000 left frozen in an account in California. It's yours if you want it." "Put it in a trust for the kids," I said. "I don't want it." "You sure?" "I'm sure." I hung up and looked around my living room. It wasn't fancy. The furniture was second-hand. The TV was old. The carpet was stained, but it was mine, ours. Noah was on the couch doing homework. Daisy was on the floor coloring. The house smelled like the spaghetti I was making for dinner. This was everything I'd ever wanted. Vanessa had tried to take it from me. She tried to destroy me, to erase me, to replace me. She'd failed. I'd won. Not because I was smarter or richer or better, but because I'd stayed true to who I was, a roughneck, a father, a man who kept his promises. That evening, after dinner, after baths, after bedtime stories, I sat on the back porch with a beer and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Vanessa was struggling. Tyler was in prison. The life they'd tried to build on lies and theft and pills had crumbled. And I was here home with my kids. I raised my beer to the sky. Here's to new beginnings, I said. The real kind. The stars didn't answer, but they didn't need to. I'd already won.